Hey students, in this lesson you're going to learn the best opening for you at this point in the course. This is an opening that I've been playing for many years. I still play it at the master level, but let me tell you why I think this is the best opening for you right now. And basically this is what we're going to do in this lesson. I'm going to tell you all of the reasons why I think you should play this opening and this opening only. Then I'm going to explain the opening to you, and finally you're going to see me using it in a blitz game at the end. That way you see that it actually works. You see me using the main plans, and trust me, after that not only are you going to be ready to start using it, but you're going to see how it helps you improve your game overall. Now, the first reason why I have most of my students play this opening at this point is because so far we have learned that after e4 we should play e5, right? And this is something that I really want everyone to start playing, because these kind of openings are going to take you to positions that are open or full of tactics and ideas, and you really have to get a good foundation with king's pawn openings before you move into something else. That's what I think. Now, since you already have that foundation, it's time to move into something else, and this is why I like to move you guys from playing e5 into this opening that I'm going to show you right now. The problem is that when you play e5, the white pieces could play so many different things. They could play the king's gambit, which is really complicated if you don't know what to do. They could play pawn to d4, they could play the Vienna, they could play knight f3, and even after knight f3, if you go knight c6, they could play the Italian. And if you don't know the Italian, something that is so popular and so classic, you could also get in trouble. Let's say you go knight c6, they could go knight g5, putting pressure on f7. And even though there are ways to get out of it safely, it requires a lot of memorization. You have to memorize a lot of lines for each one of these lines. That's why at this point, after I see my students have a good foundation, I have them step away from e5. It doesn't mean that you don't have to play it, but you should have something else to rely on. So now that you understand this first reason, let me tell you the other things that I like about this opening that I'm going to teach you. Number one, it's very easy to learn. You could learn it in a few minutes. Number two, it works for everything. If they do e4, this is going to work for you. If they play d4, it is going to work for you as well. And anything else that they do, this system is going to work. Like if you're a player who always does e4 and you do e5, if they did d4, notice that you cannot do e5 anymore. So you have to learn, you have to memorize a whole new set of openings versus d4. And that's not what I want. I want you guys to have one system that works for everything. That way you don't have to compromise too much time in the opening. That way you have time to focus on middle game, end game, which is what really matters. Opening is just a small percentage of the whole game. So number one, is very easy to learn. Number two, it works for everything. Number three, it has a trap in it early in the opening. And then there are two other reasons, believe it or not. I'm gonna tell you one later after I show you the actual opening. But the other one, guys, is that once you get the hang of this, you could even use this system as the white pieces. So after e4, d6. Now this is called the Pirc, and this is not the opening that you're going to be playing. It's going to be something else. But anyways, it starts with d6. Every move that we do, you guys have to understand the why. Even though you're going to memorize it, it's very easy to remember the moves, but it's good that you understand every move. So d6 is just to prevent this pawn from moving any further, and you're gonna see why. After they do d4, we're going to do knight f6. Now knight f6 is already attacking this pawn, and if they don't protect it, you're going to take it for free. But then if we didn't have this pawn here, let's say I had done knight f6 right away, they could push again and attack the knight. So that's why we did d6 first and only then knight f6. So first move d6, second move knight f6. Attacking the knight, they could defend it however they want, but they have to. The most popular move is knight c3. 90% of people are going to do knight c3, but if they do something else, nothing is going to change for us unless they do something to attack the knight. Now I'm going to show you later on what to do if they push a pawn, and this is already losing for them, but I'm going to show you that later. Let me get into the main line first. So if knight c3, your third move is going to be pawn to c6. Many of you may be asking, okay, this is a little bit weird, I don't understand, I don't think this is that good. But again, I've been playing it for many years, I play it against strong players, and it gives me really nice games. So c6, the idea is not only to keep this knight away, but it is also to develop your queen. And you're going to see how this queen gets really interesting. So after c6, let's say they develop their knight, this queen is going to come now to a5. And then let me talk to you about this move. So first of all, this move is pinning the knight on c3. And that knight is the only defender for e4, meaning that if they just don't realize it, and many people guys fall for this. I still play people who are advanced and they play fast, they don't realize what's going on. So this is the trick or the trap that I mentioned before. If they just do something like bishop c4, there you got the pawn for free. I'm not lying to you, when you start playing it, you're going to see how people just miss it. The queen on a5 is not just for the trap, it's for something else, but hey, it helps with this. So if they let you do it, excellent. Anyways, they have to take care of that pawn. Maybe they do something like bishop d3. So instead of going to c4, this pawn is keeping an eye on the pawn as well. But then before I tell you the last move, let me give you a little bit more information here. Many people don't like the fact that the queen comes out too early. So if you remember when we talked about the principles of the opening, you're supposed to control the center. We're doing that. Develop your minor pieces and castle. We're not supposed to get the queen out so early, but it's time for you to start getting more comfortable with this. At this point, you should have more vision of the board, which allows you to see if there's trouble for your queen at any moment. And more importantly, this queen here is safe. Like, it's hard for them to get to the queen. Right now, to attack the queen, they only have this pawn, which you could take. But later on, you're going to see that if they try to prepare something, your queen is going to retreat to this square every time. Like, this is a safe square for your queen. If she ever gets in trouble or you feel like she could get in trouble, we bring her to c7. And you're going to see why later. Now, the other piece of information that you need to know about this opening is that this is considered one of the modern openings. The classical openings, they quickly attack the center, just like e4, e5, like I said at the beginning. That's the classical approach. Now, these openings are considered more of the modern movement because what they do is they allow your opponent to control the center. You see, the white pieces have perfect control over the center. And the idea is that once they have it, we're going to then strike the center. We're going to try to break that perfect center that they have. So the next move here for black is pawn to e5. Now guys, this cannot fail. If you don't do e5, then things are going to get uncomfortable for you. But if you do e5 now, you're going to be fine. Now, before we get into the second part of the opening, let me go all the way back. So again, e4, d6. d4, I bring my knight to f6, already putting pressure on this guy. If they miss it, they do something like this, give me the pawn. And that's a central pawn, not any pawn. Now, if they go knight c3, then pawn to c6, preparing for my queen to get out, knight f3, and my queen goes to a5. Now, plan A is to get that pawn for free. I'm pinning his defender. But if they defend it, then we have to do plan B. We cannot delay plan B for too long. So immediately we go pawn to e5. He's attacking it twice, but that's one of the reasons why we put the queen on a5. Just keeping an eye on that pawn along with this guy. So if he took now, we take back, and this is a very solid position. This knight can never go to good squares in the center. This knight is attacking e5, but we have a defender. And like I said before, even if the queen has to retreat, she's going to retreat to c7. It's a very nice square. She keeps protecting e5. She's developed, and this knight can never attack her. So if they don't take, let's say they just go ahead and castle, we're not going to take, guys. For the most part, we want to wait for them to take. If we took right now, this pawn you learned is going to be a little bit weak. It's going to be hard for you to push and get rid of him. So that pawn, for the most part, is going to be here to retake on e5. And trust me, sooner or later, they're going to take on e5. If they castle, this is the plan for you. You have to know where your pieces go. And that's why I like when you play systems, because you just need to get the main ideas. You need to know where your pieces go, and you're going to be in the middle game safely. So this bishop, there's only one square he could go right now, and typically he's going to go here. Bishop e7. Let's say they go something like bishop g5. You castle. At this point, the only thing left is these two guys, and this is where they go. So something like rook e1. This bishop, you could put it on e6, but I really enjoy putting it on g4. You're pinning this knight, and there's a trick now going on here. So if they're not careful, they could lose a lot of material. Notice that this knight is the defender of d4. So if he's pinned or if he gets taken, I'm going to take here for free. But not only that, let's say that they go 92, right? Bringing another defender. It's a bad move, but just to show you. When I take that knight, not only am I forcing him to expose the king, but now this guy is hanging. So I could take, you see, this is the only time when this one actually takes, because there's another reason behind it. My active queen could collect a piece. So these are the ideas behind these moves, but bishop g4 in general is a very active way to develop your bishop. Then let's say they just go, I don't know, how could they protect? Let's say they just take finally, and you're going to be ready to take back with the pawn. Then let's just say they attack the bishop, you could take, he takes back, and then there's only one piece left to develop, the knight. Well, this knight, for the most part, is going to go to d7. That's it. All of your pieces are developed. Trust me, there's nothing that the white pieces can do here to get you in trouble right away. This is already move number 11, so it's past the opening and you are in good shape. These pieces have nothing good to do. This one is attacking, but we have two defenders, so you should be fine. From here, you bring your rooks to the central files and you start attacking. Now, the next step, guys, is for you to know the middle game plan. So this is another thing. You're going to become an expert because I'm going to tell you what to do to get here. You're going to know the moves, the tricks, the traps, and then you're going to also know the most common middle game plan. So once you're done on move number 10, number 11, you're also going to know what to do next. So without trying to memorize too much, you're going to just know what to do. It's going to become second nature. Anyways, let me go all the way back and let me talk to you again about this first part. So after knight f6, what if they just push right away? Well, I told you this was a bad move for them, and whenever you see it, you have to remember this part. This pawn came here to attack, so he's going to take. He's here for a reason. Then when the pawn takes back, notice how this file is open, which allows you to get the queen. So he's forced to take back, and now this knight could go somewhere to attack this pawn and this pawn at the same time. Can you find it? Well, knight g4, that's a move. I'm attacking this hanging pawn, I'm attacking this hanging pawn. So if he protects this one with the bishop, even with the pawn, I'm just going to go here and we got a fork. If instead they go ahead and protect this pawn, then you could collect on e5. So you see, that little move got them in trouble in no time. So the moment they did pawn to e5, I take is a forced variation, forced, and then knight g4, I'm going to get one of the pawns. So that's something not to be concerned with. If they continue playing, let's say knight c3, c6, knight f3, queen a5. Now guys, if you see, let's say bishop d3, you do e5, we cannot forget, plan A didn't work, then we go e5. Now, if you see that they do something like bishop d2, now, we don't like to have the bishop or the queen on the same diagonal as my queen. They could do a discovered attack. Like, let's say I continue with bishop e7, they could do this move. So I cannot take him because he's attacking my queen. So this is the only thing to keep in mind. Whenever you see a bishop or a queen on the same diagonal, you're going to retreat to your safe spot. Now, when you do that, you're going to go to c7. This is your square. If g ever has to leave a5, you're going to go to c7. From here, I'm still protecting e5. So if he takes, I take back, and the queen is still protecting. And your queen is developed in a good position. From here, one more time, I'm going to develop my bishop. I'm going to castle. Now, let's say that they don't let me get to g4 because that's the next part. I'm done with the king side. I'm going to take care of the queen side. Let's say they do something like pawn h3. I cannot get to g4. That's fine. I'm going to go bishop e6, and he's developed on e6. Now, if you just play bishop e6 right now, you're going to soon find out that they could do knight g5. Very annoying move because then they want to take you. They want to get double tap pawns for you. So after you do this a few times and you're gonna be like, oh, I really didn't like that move, you're going to say, you know what if I did h6 first, just like they did, preventing any of the white pieces from going to g5. And that's, guys, how you become an expert in an opening. You play it over and over and over, you find problems, you fix them, or you ask me and I'm going to help you fix them, and before you know it, you know exactly what to do in any situation. So h6, a little bit safer, that way your bishop can go there without any difficulties. Then bishop e6, finally knight b to d7, your pieces are deployed. Now guys, from here, I don't want to confuse you because we're going to have another class on middle game strategies, but just so you know, typically this knight goes to c5, trying to put pressure, or you could try to find a way to put this knight on d4. So this is a very good position for the knight. Typically your rooks want to go to e8 or d8. So these are ideas to keep in mind, guys. I'm going to leave it here. Now I'm going to go ahead and play a quick game just for you to see it in action. But before I do that, guys, let me just tell you the last thing. I said at the beginning that this opening works against anything. Now, if they did d4 instead of e4, you could still do d6. Let's say they go c4, they're trying to play the queen's pawn openings. Okay, knight f6, knight f3, c6, knight c3. Now, you could still do queen a5 if you wanted to. I mean, there's no pawn on e4, but hey, if it goes e4, I'm taking it right away. Or you could, if you wanted, in this case, you could go queen c7, but to keep it consistent, for you to get the most out of it, and remember, just do the same moves. Queen a5, if they ever put the bishop here, that's fine, you just go back to your square. Don't feel bad because you're wasting a tempo, because you're also wasting a tempo with the bishop. Just like you move the queen back to c7, this bishop is a little bit awkward here, so they're going to have to move it again sooner or later. So let's say this happened, this is worst case scenario, I had to put the queen back to c7, fine. They put the pawn on e4, now look, perfect control over the center. All of these three pawns are putting a lot of pressure on the center, but that's fine because now we're going to strike the center. You see, e5, I'm claiming my share of the center. If he takes, I take back. If he doesn't, maybe he develops here, I develop. He castles, I castle. Maybe rook e1, and then bishop g4. I'm already threatening to take here for free because I'm pinning it. If he takes, I take back. If he puts pressure on my bishop, again, you could take or you could go back. Now, this, I don't want to confuse you guys, but let me tell you why I like to take. Many people hate to give up the pair of bishops, which is fine, but now that I removed that knight, this square is going to become really weak. These pawns cannot protect it anymore, so I'm going to put this knight there. How do I get there? Knight d7, let's say they go here, knight c5. Sometimes I go to f8 if this is not safe, so I could move the rook and go to f8, then e6, then d4. Let's say they attack me, fine, knight e6, and in the next move I'm going to get to d4. Even if he tries to protect it with a piece, I'm going to do, I could bring a rook to the open file, but I could just go here right now, and that's a very powerful knight. If he takes, when I take back, what kind of pawn is this? That's a pass pawn. So you see, I already know these plans, and I know how they're going to benefit me. And this is already move number 16. So guys, without any further ado, let's get to the game that you're gonna see me play. I'm going to choose 3 minutes, no increment, because at the end of the day, I just want you to get familiar with the opening. All right, so we got the black pieces, and I'm playing a 24-33 Makovic, so that's a perfect example. So this guy is definitely a good player, and we're going to, let me just put this here, and we're going to use what we just learned. So notice that he's doing d4. This opening is designed to play it against e4, but hey, we're gonna make it work against anything. And if it works against this guy, this 24-33, trust me, you can use it at any point. So let's see what he's going to do. Queen a5, bishop d3. Now I'm gonna do e5. So plan A didn't work, I'm doing plan B. Now bishop e7, and we both castled. See, I can tell that he's not comfortable here. He just doesn't know the plans. This is not a King's Indian defense. Okay, so now he's trying to push. I'm glad he did this because we didn't cover it. Okay, so look, it doesn't make to put my bishop here. It doesn't make sense to put the bishop here. He could easily block it with a pawn. So I'm just going to do knight d7. I mean, you could take if you want, you could push if you want. I just like to keep my pawn structure like that. Okay, f4. I have to do something about it now. Ooh, how about queen b6 check, followed by knight g4. How about knight g4 right away? So now I'm coming in with queen b6 or queen c5, and then knight f2. So guys, this is already move number 9. So the opening is passed. The only thing I didn't do was developing this bishop, and he hasn't done it either, so it's not a big deal. Now he's trying to figure out what to do. Alright, so this has to come over, check. And look, just like that, we got a fork, king and queen. He needs to give me the rook for the knight. Alright, so now he's acting up. He wants to be... Huh. Okay, well, let me bring my knight. Look, this is a good position for the knight. Okay, he doesn't want to give me the bishop. Fine, I understand. Okay, I'm not gonna take... I need to bring more helpers for the queen. Alright, maybe we do this. Nah, it just doesn't look good. I cannot take... Can I take here? No. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to do this. He doesn't have many pieces developed, so I just need to bring pieces into the game. Alright, we knew that was gonna happen. Now, I'm not happy with that move, g6. It created weaknesses, but if I want to make progress here, I need to bring my pieces to attack. And again, this bishop can always help me out. And that's another thing that you're going to learn. This bishop, many times, he's going to remain here close to the king to help him. Okay, so knight f2, so he's going to try to go here. Well, oh man, I cannot take. Well, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this guy. We don't like him here. Could have done queen h4 as well. Okay, he's going back. We're fine with that. Ta ta ta. Yeah. Okay, let's get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here, guys, because I really need to take here. Yeah, I'm gonna take now. And I didn't like that queen coming with a check. Now I could bring this rook here. I could attack. That knight is gonna come over. That's 100%. Okay, so okay. Now we have less than a minute. There's no increment, so be ready to see us make a lot of mistakes. So there you go. All right, so he gave up, guys, and we got 16 points there. You see, it didn't come out perfect. It didn't come out smoothly, but you saw it in action versus a 24-33. Trust me, if you play someone lower than this, it's going to be way easier. Now, just not to leave you hanging, I'm going to play another game. Hopefully it gets smoother than this. So let me just go ahead and... All right, so here we are, e4, d6. So this is what we needed. We're playing this person, 23-30. And let's see how it goes. So knight f6. Hopefully we get the main line. That way you see it in action. There you go. So c6. And now, okay, so she pushed too early. So we know we have to take. Now I'm gonna take on d1, even though it's not the same, guys, because now this one is not hanging. They had the knight developed. They didn't do it so early. I think I'm still going to, typically I like to go, let me go to the center. So things are gonna change because this guy is not hanging. So I just put my knight in the center. Now let me develop. So this is a little bit different. Okay, so let me double up their pawns, and then let me bring the other knight. I'm just gonna put pressure on the weaknesses that she has. All right, so that's a free pawn right there. Yeah, I think it is. Or should I take here first? Yeah, I'm gonna take here first, and then I take. Now I'm hitting the bishop, I'm hitting the pawn. All right, so e6. Yeah, she'll have castle maybe. Okay, bishop e7. Okay, so time to retreat. Oh, let's go. No. Think. Well, let me go to g6. Now, double tap pawns, isolated pawns, this should be very easy to play. All right. Well, time to castle. And this pawn is hanging, so she needs to do something about it. Yep. Take. Well, I have to control the open file. All right, so what do we do here now? Do we put pressure on this pawn? Yeah, looks like it. Now she wants to go bishop b7, attacking this 2. Yeah, we know that. Alright, so we take with what? What do we take with? Well, let's take here. Okay, I don't think she's gonna take, but just in case. I already see a tactic, but nah, she's gonna, yeah. Now if she goes rook d1, she's done. She lost the game. She went for it. So check followed by checkmate. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. So again, you saw this opening hold versus another strong player. So start using it and let me know how it goes. Now, the final point I wanted to make about this opening, guys, is that whoever is playing this as the white pieces, trust me, they're not familiar with this system. Like, this opening is not that popular. They don't really study it. It's not like the Sicilian defense or the French defense. Those openings are really popular over the years. This one is not so much. So when my students or myself played this, we know that our opponents are not familiar with it. So they're coming into our territory. They don't know the plans, they don't know the tricks. So you actually have a good chance to surprise them in these openings, like bringing your enemy into your territory. So with that said, guys, I'll see you next class.